Hello, everyone. Here are three mistakes I made when I was diagnosed. Are you ready for it? I'm just going to jump straight in. So, I was diagnosed in 2008 with Crohn's disease initially, and I had no idea what Crohn's disease was. I mean, I was 19 years old, I had only had 1 year of college, and I thought that my life was over. All I heard was disease, and I had no idea what that meant. And I just sat in my hospital bed and cried because I had, again, I had no idea. And I was later diagnosed with ulcerative colitis by a doctor in Spain while I was studying abroad, which I won't get into those details, but that is a whole other story and worthy of its own life. So maybe I'll share it later. And it's been, oh, guys, my husband joined. Hello. It's been a journey for me ever since because I want to share three mistakes because I was diagnosed in 2008. It's now 2020. I've been diagnosed for over 12 years. And at the time, I was not even a sophomore in college yet. Now I'm a professional. I was single. Now I'm married. I mean, I was completely different. So I learned so much that I just want to share with you. I made lots of mistakes, but tonight I'm going to share three. So, mistake number one, I didn't address my diet. I'm going to move this over just a little bit. Okay. I didn't address my diet. When I was in the hospital right after I got diagnosed, my doctor, who I will give him all the credit, he was the top gastroenterologist in the county at the time. But this was 2008. We've come a long way since then. So at the time, I sat in my hospital bed. He handed me 3 pills of Lialda and told me that I can eat whatever I wanted as long as I took these pills. Is anyone else like, are any red flags coming on to anybody else? Okay. So while this is technically true, technically I could eat whatever I wanted and maybe be okay with if I took that Lialda. If I had a very like mild case, but I didn't. Hi, Dinesh. And so I actually had a moderate to severe case of ulcerative colitis, well, Crohn's at the time. So it wasn't the whole story. So what I did, I was 19 years old and a sophomore in college. So what did I eat? I ate spoonfuls of Nutella. I chugged cups and cups and cups of coffee. I had chocolate trail mix and Cheez-Its and Triscuits for for snacks. I ate traditional sugary cereal for breakfast, hamburgers for dinner, and like these things separately are not for the healthy average person. I'm not saying don't eat Cheez-Its. I'm not saying don't eat trail mix, but for someone who is dealing with a severe gut disease that stems from the gut, that's a problem. So, I mean, by the traditional diet terms, I was okay. I was, you know, like, I don't know what to say about the traditional diet. I don't want to go on a soapbox too much. But overall, I was healthy by traditional diet standards. I still got in some vegetables. I still ate, protein, but I was not eating to promote healing. I was not. And then chugging 3 to 4 cups of coffee. It wasn't good. But I was told that I could have these pills and then eat anything I wanted. And for the next 5 years, I believed that, even though I kept going back to the hospital to get hospitalized every 6 months. And it wasn't until years and years later that I finally, like a light bulb clicked on. I was fed up and tired of being sick. I was tired of being hospitalized. And quite honestly, I was tired of paying hospital bills that um, I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired that I started doing my own research and started figuring out what diet works best for me. And now it's 2020. There is a whole list of available diets that you can research and find what works best for you to talk to your doctor or a dietitian. But yes, so mistake number one, didn't address my diet. Don't be like 2008 Holly. Mistake number two, Mistake number two, I ignored my disease. And when I say ignored, I ignored it completely. I was diagnosed, and then when I was diagnosed, I went through the process of recovering. I recovered my muscle strength, my endurance, and then poof, it was out of my head. Once I felt better, once my symptoms went away, I completely forgot about it. And then continued eating and drinking and like doing all the things. And honestly, I just didn't want to deal with it. So I didn't until I absolutely had to. And when I had to, was usually too late. I dealt with it when I was going to the hospital, when I realized I couldn't manage this on my own and I was being hospitalized again. So I even tried to continue going to class when I was I was really sick and just truly needed to rest. But I'm a stubborn person, and I knew that I was sick, but I refused to give up my life. I refused. And I mean, what college student doesn't take the opportunity to not go to class? Like, what am I sick? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, yeah, anyway, that's just an interesting thought. But I I completely ignored it. I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to even consider that I would be slightly different than everyone else in my class. And so I kept going to class. And oh, I wish my friend was watching this, and maybe I'll send this to him later. But there's one story from college that comes to mind, which is like the epitome of me ignoring my disease. And that was when I was trying to manage it with supplements. And I was so sick. I was hospitalized, like hospitalization level sick, and I was refusing to go to the hospital. And I was still insisting on going to class and being normal and spending time with my friends. And I got up that morning, I felt really terrible. So I took like probably 15 supplements and then went to class. And this classroom was very small. They crammed about 30 into, this keeps going away. They crammed about 30 desks into this teeny tiny classroom, so there was no room to even move if you needed to get out. And I sat there, and the longer I sat there, the more I felt sick. Like really sick. And my friend was sitting next to me and playing a game on his phone, not even paying attention. And here I was trying to be the perfect student. And he just kept nudging me to say, hey, look what the high score I just got. Hey, look what I just did. Hey, I just got this mushroom or whatever on his phone. And every time he nudged me, I was starting to get sicker and sicker and sicker. And to the point where I needed to run out of the classroom. And it took so long to weave through all of the desks that I took off in a sprint, and the whole class saw me starting to sprint out of the door because the door didn't close fast enough. So I was trying to be really kind and courteous, going, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. And then I just sprinted off, and I ended up throwing up all over the hallway. So do not be like me. It's still one of the best stories to show how much I ignored my disease to the point of needing hospitalization and still being so stubborn, needing to go to class instead of allowing myself to rest, instead of acknowledging that I have an issue and that I really need to address it. And again, it took me 5 years to actually take ownership of my disease, say, yes, I have ulcerative colitis, that is okay, and I am no longer going to allow it to own me anymore. Instead, I'm going to take control. I'm going to manage this. I'm still going to have a really fabulous life, but I'm not going to let it rule me anymore. So that's mistake number 2. Apologies for the throw up story, but it's one of my favorite stories from college. Lesson learned. Mistake number 3. Can't count. Mistake number 3, I didn't seek out a community. So 19 years old, I'm just trying to fit into college. I'm just trying to be like everyone else. And I felt so alone because I, like deep down, even though I was ignoring it and I wasn't addressing anything, underneath all of it, I still felt so alone because I didn't know anyone else that had it. And I didn't know of anyone else that knew what I was going through. And I remember the first time I realized someone else had what I had, it was astonishing to me. I couldn't believe that there was another person. It was like an alien finally met another alien on Earth. And in a college, what I ended up learning is that in a college, our college of less than 600 people, there were two other girls in my dorm who had IBD. I don't remember if they had Crohn's or colitis. Um, they also had what I had, and we were able to talk about it. And just being able to share that, even just bits and pieces of it, was so freeing. And one girl in particular was recently diagnosed and needed a little bit of reassurance and guidance in doing her first Humira shot. And I was also on Humira, so I had experience. We didn't have the citrate-free kind, which doesn't cause any pain. This original Humira was quite painful, and it wasn't, one of those necessary things, but it still wasn't a great experience. And so we sat in the floor of her dorm room, and while she took her Humira shot, talking about our illnesses and talking about the struggles and life. And it honestly, I will never forget that moment because it felt like a huge weight was lifted off of me. It was like I finally met someone of my kind that I can share life with and who would really get the struggle that I was going through, even though I wasn't fully open yet about my disease and I wasn't really sharing it publicly or really with friends or anybody. So it was just really nice to have that person who I could talk to when I needed it. And then eventually I met other people with diseases similar to mine. And then gosh, when was Instagram invented? I feel so old. Instagram became a thing. Social media became a thing. And with social media, it has given me an amazing community. I mean, we are celebrating Crohn's and Colitis Awareness Week this week, December 1st through 7th, with social media. And before social media, I don't even know what people did to meet other people. I mean, it's the most amazing thing ever. And we can commiserate together on the struggles that we go through and also like celebrate in the little things, in the joys in life and the wins, like when we're finally in remission or when a new drug finally works. It's just the coolest thing. So I highly regret not seeking out a community sooner because I think as a 19-year-old, it would have helped me so much. I mean, it would have really like taken so much fear and anxiety of living with this disease. It would have taken it away. So, to recap, mistake number 1, I didn't address my diet. Mistake number 2, I ignored my disease completely. Sorry, my nose itches. Mistake number 3, I didn't seek out a community. So let me know in the comments if you can relate to any of these mistakes that I made. And if you need, I mean, there are way more mistakes, and maybe I'll make this a series of the mistakes Holly has made with her disease because there have been plenty and lots to share. So if you need any additional support, my one-on-one coaching program is still available, and it is the perfect way for me to partner with you more closely and address these things that I talked about: finding a community, finding a way to be more open, and addressing your disease and accepting it as a part of your life, and also like identifying a diet that works for you and makes your gut. You can promote healing in your gut. So oh my gosh, sorry, my nose itches. Okay, so it's still available, and the perfect way for me to partner with you, please, you can shoot me a message if you are interested in something like that. And as always, I am here to help you in any way that I can. Thanks, everyone.